everybody, and welcome to the Spoiler Warning Podcast. This is review number 798 with a review of Thunderbolts Asterix. I'm Christopher Schnese.
And I'm Stephen Miller.
And if you're joining us for the first time, the Spoiler Warning Podcast is a weekly film review program. Each week in the show, we're going to dive in, debate, discuss, and argue over the latest films coming to a theater near you. This week, we are returning to theaters to watch another Marvel film. Stephen, I know that you weren't that excited going in to watch the whatever the new Captain... I already forget what the name of that movie was called.
Captain... Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Yeah.
So we talked about how we weren't super excited to go watch into this one. How are you feeling entering into this one? Any different there?
I was not that excited for this movie. I wasn't dreading it. It didn't feel like it was going to be joyless. It seemed like it had an identity crisis in trailers. Like trailer to trailer, it seemed like entirely different movies, and it felt like they were scrambling to try to find a way to make it palatable. So my understanding of this movie was that it was going to be sort of the Suicide Squad for the MCU, and that did not sound all that appealing to me. That sounded like they were desperately trying to chase the coattails of Deadpool and hoping that they could get another comedy into the mix. So it was whatever. I thought it was going to be fine, but I definitely didn't have very high expectations. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I was maybe optimistic. Not really optimistic, but I think for me that every trailer felt like it was different tone and going for a different audience. To me, that didn't strike me as being like a cry for help or a sign that the movie was going to be bad. To me, I thought it was just everybody having fun with the promotion of this film. And like, you know, for us that are not, don't have allegiance to a lot of these characters, like people who are only watching the MCU films and not actually consuming anything else, for us, this is all a bunch of the B team, right? So the idea of a B team, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm fine with a bunch of mishmash of trailers because this is a mishmash of characters, and that just kind of seems on par for what I might be getting out of it. So that really didn't like shake me one way or the other. But I think that this one at least felt like, hey, maybe it's just like the knowledge in the back of my head that this is kind of kicking off the next phase of things, that I was kind of like, maybe it can be good again. You know what I mean? Like I was hoping that Marvel could turn something around that would kind of pull me back in, or at least give me the feeling that I felt during some of those early phase Marvel films.
And for that, they had to hire a pullman. Pull you.
I get it. Yeah, you
Lewis.
pulled me with the pullman.
Cool.
Very good, Steven. But yeah, we're gonna find out in just a moment how we felt about this. But are you excited to get into this episode at least, Steven?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's take a listen to the trailer for Thunderbolts and then give everybody a review.
Elena, being a hero, there is no higher calling. Your sister understood something about that.
I should have come back for you.
No. That's just a fairy tale.
I was in high school when the Avengers came. Kind of strange that it's all over now. No one's coming to save the day.
I think we are. We can be the ones that are coming.
But you have the wrong people. We have all done bad things.
Look, I've been where you are. The past doesn't go away. So you can either live with it forever, or you can do something about it. I am a void. Look what you unleashed. You can't outrun the emptiness.
We can't do this. No one here is a hero.
We all have things that we regret.
But I have so many.
Lena, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. That's why we need each other.
We can't stop him alone. No one can. But we can find a way. Together.
Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts.
Under pressure.
All right, so that was the trailer for Thunderbolts. Essentially, this is a story of a ragtag group of superhero-y type folks who have to learn to work together and team up to help fight their past and their present, I guess. Stephen Miller, what did you think of Thunderbolts?
I thought Thunderbolts was pretty fun. I thought it was significantly more entertaining than I had given it credit for going in. I also felt that I am maybe underserved by having never watched Black Widow or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I assume a lot of lore is coming from those two properties, just judging by who is in this movie. And it's fine. They made it work in a way where it didn't really matter that you didn't have that backstory, but I think there might have been more emotional heft in the movie that will go into some of my mild criticisms if I had more familiarity with the characters beforehand. For me, what this movie was basically the Florence Pugh show, which is fine. I think Florence Pugh is pretty solid in general. I feel like the movie, it decides early on that it is going to be lower stakes than other Marvel movies, which feels funny to say because as with almost every Marvel movie, there are indeed stakes that could destroy the world or whatever hiding in this movie somewhere, but it just feels less consequential. You know, the fights, people seem to be having more fun. There's no epic moment when the hero feels like the fate of the world is on their shoulders. It just is a movie that is setting its sights a little smaller, and I think that made it more entertaining. The cast here is pretty funny, like especially for me as a newcomer to a lot of these people who I know have been introduced in other properties. Like I like Yelena quite a bit. I really enjoy her dad. I get a good chuckle out of him, even though like that same character in the trailers, I felt like they were leaning so hard on him that I kind of felt like David Harbour he seemed like just a goofball to me. I didn't think the jokes were going to land in the moment, but in the context of the movie, I had so much fun with him and the way he bounces off the other members of the Thunderbolts. It had a lot of laugh out loud moments, which has to lead me into a rant about a audience member that I was with in the Thursday night screening of this movie. Look, it's my bad. I saw this 7 p.m. Thursday night at Alamo, so opening night, I know I'm going to be surrounded by the Marvel heads. And there was a guy sitting right in front of me who every time a funny thing happened, he did not laugh. Laughing does not, he's like Prince Andrew and sweating. Like laughing seems like not a thing he does. Instead, what he does is goes, "Oh my God." And so I heard roughly 20 times in this movie, a character give a little dig, a funny bit. Someone did punch up, on the script and they got a funny one-liner in. And the audience is laughing, and this guy's like, "Oh my God!" So it hurt me. It physically hurt me. Don't tell me it was you.
No, it wasn't me. The voice you're doing, I can't 100% tell. Is his "Oh my God" that he is groaning "Oh my God," or he's like, "Oh my God, got him"?
He's like, "Oh my God, this is so funny," or "I can't believe they went there." Oh snap! Oh, okay. That was kind of his. I guess snap is probably a special word to Marvel people, so he says, "Oh my God" instead. But it was tough. It was fighting against me the whole movie because every time there was a moment I wanted to laugh at, I was also dreading "Oh my God, man" coming out of the woodwork, and he delivered almost every time. But the movie is really funny. It's very lighthearted. I think the cast is pretty good. I think it has the appropriate amount of seriousness. This borrowing from the comics, but this feels like it's in line with some Blumhouse movies where it finds a way to have some of the things the characters wrestle with be a metaphor for mental health or things that everyday people go through. And I think it's pretty successful there. I think it threads the needle well in being a funny, lighthearted, inconsequential type movie while also having moments that have enough emotional heft to kind of carry you along. I don't know that this movie has restored my enthusiasm for the MCU. Like I see this movie as a diversion, almost like I saw the second Captain Marvel movie, the Marvels, as a bit of a diversion of this is really fun. This is a reminder of how Marvel can be a bit more villain of the week, characters bouncing off each other. it still doesn't paint a picture for me of how some kind of cohesive Avengers movie will happen and get me stoked. But I think this is the best Marvel movie I've seen in quite a while. So overall, I had a pretty good time with it. Even if I don't know who John Walker is, I don't know anything about Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I don't know anything about Yelena and the Black Widows. Like, there's so much that I think I missed in context that would have maybe made it more satisfying for me to see everything come together. But I had enough fun. How about you? How did you feel about Thunderbolts?
Yeah, I thought this film was great. I definitely had a better audience than you. I got a little worried before the film started, just because I was in a very big theater and there were a lot of people talking obnoxiously. And I was like, dear God, I hope this is okay. But when it started, everybody shut up.
You were just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I just had to keep saying that constantly every time there was a joke, because I was like, this is supposed to be a serious movie. Oh my God. Anyways, I don't know if I was just wrapped up into the vibe of the crowd. Like, I saw it Thursday night at the 8:40 IMAX screening at the Metreon. So it was like big room full of a lot of people who were very excited to be there. And I think that this film is a little bit of a magic trick. I mean, me, as my journey through the world of the MCU, I have both tethered myself to when it goes more serious and when it goes more comedic. You know, like I want the films to have fun, but when the storyline feels more serious and there are more stakes that are important and characters really feel like they can be hurt emotionally, not just physically, I vibe with it. And this film, like, it's not even threading the line between those. It's dancing across the line and going back and forth. And I think that what this film tries to do with talking about mental health and having the characters' lives weigh on them in a way that kind of forces them to come together and do this work, it kind of delivers something that gets me excited for the MCU again. And it's not that this film necessarily did anything or set stuff up so much that it's drawing me in. It's like, it just feels good to be home again. And it feels good to be teaming up with people and being in a theater of people who are actually excited for once, instead of just turning out to see the next MCU thing and not being excited for it. It was like, I was like, oh my God, is this what it used to feel like? This feels great. Yeah. It is really interesting the way this film deals with this mental health aspect of things. And it's like, this film would have hit so much differently if it came out in the middle of COVID. Like, when everybody was stuck at home, isolated, alone, and just feeling really depressed. And I think that I still remember that. I think most of the world has forgot it, but I still remember it, and it still feels recent. But the way this film plays with that, and the way you see characters feel about who they are and what they do, and then, you know, obviously there's the whole metaphor of them gripping with who they were as past characters, but just the idea that, like, this darkness that you could feel could be a literal manifestation of something that you have to fight against, just worked for me really, really well in the story. And it kind of brought me in to care about characters that I don't actually care about. And you talked about watching the trailer for Yelena's dad and feeling like, oh God, is this going to be like just the comedic thing? I think the reason it works so well, like, he is one of my favorite parts about this film. And the reason it works so well is because there is such an earnestness to, he's not just the comedic thing in the film. Like, remember in like the old Avengers stuff, Captain America, there was an aspect of humor to him where the joke was on him, right? He was so earnest and sincere that, like, he would say the dumb thing and then the other characters could kind of tease him about it. And like, that was like that was a bit of funniness where, like, you're watching him just be a goody two shoes. Like, this, not only is this character supposed to literally be, and half of them are stand-ins for Captain America.
Yes.
Well, we can talk about that later. But they're all essentially Captain America, except for the one that is essentially Black Widow, which is, it's so hilarious to me that, like, you know, in the original Avengers, I remember talking about, like, it's just weird that, like, everybody has powers or is a god or has technology, and then she's just like a badass, which is cool in its own right. But it's just funny that in this version, this replacements version, there's a bunch of super soldiers. and then one person who can just fight well. And it's like, all right, that's cool, I guess. I guess you couldn't really get around that, but it's just kind of funny to me. But anyways, just having Elena's dad be this person who's so earnest, knows exactly what everybody else will need to learn by the end of the film, but can't convince people in a way that is not kind of comedic, just how much he cares about it. And I just really loved his interaction with the group. And I guess I'm excited to potentially see more of him going forward.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do explicit spoilers, but it's already been announced from the cast of the upcoming Avengers movie that many of the Thunderbolts will be a part of it. So we are going to get to see more of them in the future. I think what I'm often curious about is these funny Marvel movies are great, and this made me laugh plenty. I don't know how they mesh with what the broader MCU is supposed to be. And maybe the problem is my view of the Avengers is just forever stuck with what the early phases meant by the Avengers. And I keep waiting for them to pull off some magic trick where there will be like dramatic heft, where there will be a reason for me to root for all of these characters to come together. And I'm still not really seeing it. And I'm honestly losing track of what has happened to everyone. Like a big premise of this movie is there basically aren't Avengers anymore. No one is coming to save you. And I'm trying to do the math in my head because I remember Endgame ending with sort of passing the torch to all the people that would take on the role of Avengers. And I assume Falcon and the Winter Soldier will tell me a little bit about what happened there. I assume Don Cheadle is hiding somewhere, or is he replaced with the Skrull? I think I've heard that before. Like, it feels like in the old MCU movies, there was a feeling of where I know where the characters are. And even if they aren't all in this particular mission we're watching, Samuel L. Jackson is going to show up and connect everybody again. Like there's going to be some reminder that we are a part of a bigger world. And when a team up happens, it's going to be legendary. And I feel like now I've watched a handful of MCU movies in a row that are basically saying, I'm the only one, no one else is here. And I'm like, but wait, you're all still there, right? Like I feel like I saw a Captain America movie a few months ago that this movie, it acknowledges with one reference to Thaddeus Ross becoming a Hulk, but it doesn't make sense to me how that movie can exist and this movie can exist. You know what I mean? Like there's something where I'm still waiting to see how everything will line up into the big team up, and I don't get how fragmented the universe has gotten.
Yeah, and I think to me, and this is probably not the case, but in theory, in this world where this is the film that we're talking about, I'm going to pretend like this is the reality. What this film is kind of saying is that there is no I'm the guy or gal. Mm-hmm. There is just we need people to work together to achieve things. And if we could get to a place where it's only a disparate group of people and that those people can peel off and add and interchange, and there's always something that can have enough people and enough charismatic characters that you'll enjoy it, but doesn't require everything to hinge on one person and their arc, maybe we're in a better place. Like maybe Marvel doesn't have to make 700,000 movies. They can just make a team up movie every year or every 2 years instead of 17 movies a year. I like the idea of it. I'm pretty sure that's not what we're getting. Just because of the whole concept of the asterisks of this film and everything it's trying to set up. But I feel like in a lot of cases, a lot of people like the team up movies more anyways, because not only did it have the character they liked, but it had enough going on to keep them settled. But if you really only cared about one character, if that character's film wasn't great or was just like in the middle, then you felt let down by it. But when it's always teaming up, there's enough people like, I don't care about any of these characters in isolation, but I liked this thing, whatever the hell, this mishmash of all of them. I was like, I could watch this all day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar feeling. It's funny because this movie, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Like when I got home after seeing the movie, Joanna asked me how it was, and I said it was pretty good, actually. I'm surprised. I liked it. I haven't liked MCU movies recently, and it did a good job. there's a weightlessness to it, which is part of what made it enjoyable, that also makes it just feel very minor or forgettable to me. And that's fine. Like, these movies can just be popcorn flicks that you enjoy and then forget. But there's something I can't shake, that it is dealing with things that feel like they should be a bit heavier than they are, like the mental health concepts in this movie. I think it does well by them. I don't know the right way to explain it. There is a character in this movie where the moment I am introduced to him, I know the entire arc. I know where it's going. I know what the demons of the character are going to be and why it's going to be a metaphor for something. And for some reason, it just feels a little too easy. But then I don't know what else I would have wanted, because this is a silly comic book movie and I don't want it to make things more complicated than that. I don't know. There's just something a bit confusing about this movie to me, where I feel like I laughed more at this than I did at the latest Deadpool movie, and yet I think I was meant to feel more of Yelena's struggle. I was meant to feel more emotional in the big team up moments. I was meant to feel more of a message, maybe more of an uplift, more of a something. And the fact that none of those things really meant anything to me makes me feel like I watched it wrong somehow.
Well, I don't think there is an uplift that is trying to tout, other than you need other people. Like, you can't ever do it alone. And other people will save you. Like, I think that is really just the only message. And it's not supposed to be an uplift necessarily. It's supposed to be a warning in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like a warning levied in a positive way, but it's supposed to be like, hey, don't shut people out, bring people in. Your combined strength is enough to do whatever you need to do. Rely on that, right? And obviously this is a film that can't go, like, it goes pretty dark, but it also relies on visual metaphor more than actually going there. But the visual metaphor allows you to go there, and it's definitely a thing where it's like I really liked everything going on there in the void space.
Do you, without naming it, do you have a concern about characters that are so powerful they render the very idea of Marvel heroes obsolete? Like, how big can things go? I mean, I understand they write this in a way where it can cease to be an issue by the end of the movie, but I always feel this when there's a mega powered villain or something in one of these Marvel films, where I think, wow, that kind of breaks the universe. I don't know what to do with that.
So I did a shallow dive just because I was like, what the hell's going on? And if you want your eyes to glaze over and roll into the back of your head,
right,
just read all the like meta contextual bullshit around this this thing that we're talking about. And you'll be like, Jesus Christ. But the idea, as I understand it, is the breakability of things is its own thing that keeps it in lockstep. Because if it breaks in one way, it has to break the opposite way. And those two pieces of this thing,
particle and antiparticle, basically,
they essentially keep themselves in check. So during it, I was definitely like, so you just added this thing to your MCU? Okay, right. That's cool. And I was kind of annoyed with it in the moment, and more in a perplexing, like, why would you choose to do this? But then where it does resolve that, I was like, okay, so this thing is just going to be sitting in your back pocket forever. And then I read the other thing about like the equal and opposite reaction type of piece of this thing. And I was like, okay, so it's always theoretically in check unless you absolutely need it. And then if you need it, there's going to be some consequence for using it. So I understand that it's like, what if you had a thing with no bounds? So you created itself as its own bounds is kind of what I'm understanding about this thing.
This goes back to where are all the other MCU characters? Isn't Thor still a thing? Right. I don't feel like Thor has had an ending in any way. I feel like Thor Love and Thunder, he's still Thoring around. And Captain Marvel is also a thing, or did like the backlash to woke mean like they just decided she doesn't exist anymore? Like,
They're all...
I'm just confused because they're the most powerful characters that I haven't heard about in a long time. And we're all operating under an assumption that they don't exist anymore.
I think they're operating under the assumption that there's other stuff more important than Earth. Okay. And they have to go off and be doing those things. And that's where they're all at. And then, yeah, that's kind of the way I understand it. But, you know, it's like 1,000 movies, so I can't hold it all in my head. I'm sure in some future movie, any character that's still around will show up and be like, sorry, I was over at whatever, doing whatever, and that's why I couldn't be here. But I'm glad you all survived.
I have to say, too, there was a post-credits sequence, or maybe this was the mid-credits sequence. It was hinting at what other characters will be coming in the next installment for the Avengers. And it was information I thought everyone knew already, but my audience erupted in so much shock and excitement. I felt like maybe I missed some hint because to me, there was nothing revealed by that I didn't already know, but my crowd adored it. They were so excited.
So I think...
So I believe some of that might have been bleeped, but Chris lectured me for 2 hours about the background of Marvel and how the comics interconnect, and I understand now. I fully understand.
But also, again, it could have been just the hype of me sitting there going like, yeah.
Yeah. That was the one, oh my God, elicited by the guy in front of me that was not a laugh. He just said, oh my God, for the normal reasons in that moment. Now, I have to ask you, because I assume you are a Marvel completist. Am I wrong? Have you seen all the films and shows?
I didn't watch, like, Secret Invasion or whatever it was called, because everybody said don't.
Okay, so you also don't know what happened to Don Cheadle, then? Because I think he was in that show.
I know nothing about it, so I can't speak to it.
Okay, but as an otherwise completist, do I have to go back and watch Black Widow? Is that I feel like that was a deep COVID movie, and it missed me entirely, and I never felt like I was supposed to go back and catch up with it.
Yeah, didn't that go straight to streaming? And then there was like a lawsuit with ScarJo.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson was trying to get, some kind of back end for it, which makes sense.
Yeah. You can watch a recap to understand how those characters all connect. The main thing you have to understand is the same thing that you understand for all the other characters and everything, is that people were brainwashed that caused them to do bad things, or they were trained and then brainwashed to do bad things, and then people get that brainwashing removed. So everybody has like Bucky's arc, basically.
Yeah, they all Buckied.
Yeah. The Bucky on, Bucky off is what their story is.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much enough.
Is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, is she introduced in Black Widow, or is she exclusively a Disney Plus character?
I don't remember her from Black Widow, but she definitely shows up in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whatever the
You can say anything and I'll believe that's the name of the
whatever
show.
the show was, yeah. Because specifically again, Falcon is gonna be Captain America, doesn't want the shield. They get this other guy who's the guy that we're watching in this movie, and then he goes crazy. and then she's basically like, I need your crazy, come work for me. So honestly, my biggest problem with this film is not enough Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Like I have a lot of fun with that character, just like, even though she's basically her Veep character, if her Veep character had the power to like control a bunch of just different stuff instead of zero power at all. But I was having a lot of fun with her, like, oh shit, let's do this stuff off the book, let's do it with our own thing. And I feel like obviously I don't know how much it's going to be important later. I mean, for a while it will, I assume, but like I feel like having there's a lot of arc that took place in just this film, and I kind of wish that could be stretched out a little bit more.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I would have enjoyed seeing more. Honestly, about one of the joys that this film promised me was Bucky was going to be a senator. Like what is Bucky in Congress going to be, and how are they going to handle the fact that he has been brainwashed and murdered a shitload of people before?
I mean, who hasn't, dude?
In general, I would have liked more of the DC intrigue, not to be taken seriously, but just I like the premise of him in Congress. I like a lot seeing Julia Louis-Dreyfus work and bounce off of Wendell Pierce. I felt like all of that was really enjoyable. I also, quick shout out to Mel, her assistant. The actress's name I sadly can't remember right now. She was from Drive-Away Dolls. I thought she was really funny whenever she was on screen.
Yeah.
And I didn't do my homework, so I just don't have that name handy now. Geraldine Viswanathan. Yeah, she was funny. But that whole, like, the V clone of this movie I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I feel like this movie moves at a brisk pace, which is good. You don't want these things to outstay their welcome. But I feel like it's one of the classic Marvel issues I have, is they spend a lot of time setting up. These are the characters. These are the stakes. Oh my gosh, let's go do the big thing. And then the big thing is just kind of like one extended set piece and then the movie's over. Yeah. And in this case, I felt like I wanted more from the sinister government plot. I just wanted more to be fleshed out in this movie, while also enjoying that it was lightweight and didn't, overstay its welcome.
Yeah, it would be, because there is a world in which this film ends on a big cliffhanger of the unleashing of something, right? Mm-hmm. And instead, this just sets up, and we're going to have more of this stuff. Come on, and I think that we have to spend so much time catching you up on who all these people are and like why they're connected to things and how they've all worked for the same person, and this is what's going on now. And then you have to introduce there's one person that we haven't seen before. I mean, for you, there's a lot of people you haven't seen before, but
yeah. Was the character who will not be named, was that the only new character? Every other Thunderbolt you've seen from Black Widow or Falcon and the Winter Soldier or something?
Yeah. Everyone else has been in something.
Okay, like Ghost's abilities or something that you've seen before.
Yeah, because
that was cool.
So you've seen some of Ghost's stuff in all the Quantum films. So
really,
so you've been introduced to Ghost before.
Okay,
and there's like a whole plot in trying to get her from the state she was to the state she is now, based on the previous Quantum. Was it Quantum Mania that did it? One of the films involves helping to keep all of her atoms and stuff intact instead of completely phasing out.
Wow. Well, I have so thoroughly forgotten that. I truly believed I had never seen her before, and I still secretly believe I've never seen her before. I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah. Let's see. What else we got, Steven?
I don't know.
Who else hadn't you seen before?
And nobody. Okay, I'll give it to you. She was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. That was a movie I watched on a plane way after it came out, so I think I just wasn't paying enough attention.
So it wasn't Quantum Mania. It was the middle Quantum film.
Right. Yeah, the middle one.
Okay. I totally forgive you then, Steven. It's been so long, and it was obviously such an important part of that film.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I'm good.
Cool. So I mean, either way, are you excited? Are you more excited moving forward now at the possibilities?
I am. It is at least showing that Marvel is aware that there is fatigue, and they know they need to play in different sandboxes and with different genres. And this tells me they're willing to give creative freedom. Like Jake Schreier, the director, I think did a solid job here, and he struck a tone that is different from other Marvel movies, but still fits in universe. So I feel better about their chances. Like if this was their last big shot to prove that they were going to be able to do enough of a pivot to make the next few phases enjoyable, I think they delivered for sure. So I'm more stoked on the next Avengers than I was going to be.
Yeah, the only thing I'm confused. Like, I mean, I'm really excited moving forward. The only thing that I'm confused about is the size that is required to call it a team. Mm-hmm. There seems to be some silliness there that That doesn't make any sense to me. But I guess you can't mess with the formula, Steven.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready to get to verdicts for this film?
Sure.
Okay, if you were going to give it a must-see, recommend with the caveat, wait for rental, pass with the caveat, or a must-avoid, what would you give it?
I'm going to recommend with a caveat. I had fun with this movie. It was fun. It was light. It didn't leave that big an impression, but it was enjoyable. The crowd had a great time. Oh my God, guy had a great time. I had a pretty good time. Everything is good. The caveat is just this didn't... If you can only see one movie that is playing in IMAX, you should see Sinners still. Like, this is not a movie that is going to rock your world in any way, but it is a good comeback story for the MCU, and it has me... I have more hope for the franchise than I'd had in a while. So, overall, positive on Thunderbolts.
I'm going to give it a must-see. It's not that I think it's that much better than you're saying it is, Steven. It's that I feel like they're back, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a reason to get excited again. And moving forward, I mean, Steven, you watched 5 people and you had no idea where the hell those people were from.
Right.
And if you just jumped into the next one, think about how much more lost you would be.
Oh, there are so many people I won't know. It's going to be great.
So I think this is just a film where, you know, you need to see what's coming next. I feel like it's worth the watch. It is entertaining. It delivers just what it needs to. Enough of the old with enough new combinations of people that it's worth the ride. And I had a great time with it. If you can see it early enough that there's still people vibing with it and you're not alone in the theater down the street. And part of it, Steven, is like the last few films we've talked about, I have watched in a theater with maybe 3 other people in it. Mm-hmm. And this is a theater fully packed with a bunch of people who are really happy to be there. And it was kind of like when we returned to the theater, like after, you know, COVID started to go down a little bit. And it was like, oh my God, this is what movie going felt like again.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm glad you got to feel that.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it. A recommend from Steven, a must-see from me. That's going to be the end of our review of Thunderbolts. Steven, if people want to find you throughout the week, where can they do that?
People can find me at Threads or Blue Sky at sdavidmiller or sdavidmiller.com.
People can find me at ChristopherInRealLife.com or ChristopherIRL on a number of social platforms. You can find the podcast over at thespoilerwarning.com where you get a bunch of the back episodes of the show. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can do so on Overcast, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever podcasts are found. If you want to know when the episodes go live, you can follow us at twitter.com/spoilerwarning, facebook.com/thespoilerwarning, or instagram.com/thespoilerwarning. If you want to get a hold of us directly, you can send an email to fans@thespoilerwarning.com, or you can use the contact form on our site. The music for this episode will come from a track selected from artlist.io, so hopefully you're enjoying that. Yeah, that's it. That's what we got for this week. We'll see you all soon with another review later.
Bye.